The anime begins by showing the traces of what seems to have been a destructive war caused by a shadow dragon. Several heroes appear in front of it, and it is explained that the shadow world is the worst calamity of humanity since the world is being surrounded by a fog that creates contamination and destruction wherever it passes. The only way to end all of this is by destroying the shadow world. Here we meet Desir, who says that it is time to end this hell. Right after that, the dragon begins preparing several attacks toward the group, but by using a powerful spell, he cancels the attack, giving his companions time to strike the dragon. They begin performing a series of combined attacks until the dragon can no longer withstand them and finally falls under all their attacks. However, before the dragon falls, it says that it does not intend to die like this, and leaves things at that. After that, the group becomes very happy, because they have defeated the dragon. A boy named Raphael says they have achieved victory by defeating the monster. However, his companion Donovan adds that it seems strange that no message appears about completing the dragon mission. Desir asks for a little time, and a man named SD mentions that at least 150 million people tried to face the monster, and only they were able to defeat it and survive. Desir becomes very thoughtful because over time many people he cared about fell to the dragon. A girl named Priscilla tells them to calm down because they finally defeated Napolitan, and now they can enjoy the peace that will remain in the kingdom. Desir agrees, and after saving the world, the group begins to feel more relaxed. Later they start talking about the incredible powers Desir possesses, since even S cannot believe that with the rank he has, he was able to cancel Napolitan's attacks, because even he could not use that much power. Desir says that he is simply a commoner who was blessed with that power. Raphael then changes the topic and asks what they plan to do when they return to their own worlds. Most of them reply that they will pay tribute to those who fell in battle. Raphael asks a girl named Sets the same question, but she simply ignores him. At that moment, Desir remembers when he was at the academy and a girl he loved died in his arms. His thoughts are suddenly interrupted when the dragon awakens again. It begins to create a huge pressure in the environment, and one of them mentions that the hearts of dragons contain a large amount of mana. So even if someone manages to defeat them, they can release enormous masses of mana, which basically means that the dragon will self-destruct and completely destroy the world. This makes the heroes try to use their spells, but they are completely useless against it. The only thing left for them to do is pray, because they know they will die at that moment. Just when the explosion reaches them, Desir closes his eyes, but when he opens them again, he finds himself back at the moment of his ceremony at the Hebrion Academy. There, Desir hears a teacher named Bridget welcoming everyone to the academy ceremony, which leaves him very confused because he does not understand what just happened. Bridget tells them that they must take an exam if they want to enter the academy, since only a few will be accepted to fight against the Shadow World. Finally, Bridget says she is very happy that the entrance exam of the year 3613 has begun at that very moment. This leaves Desir completely shocked, because the great battle against Napolitan began in the year 3616. So it seems he has awakened several years before the battle happened, since he mentions that they fought for 10 years trying to defeat the Shadow World. A little later, while Desir is reflecting outside the place, a girl named Redoria arrives. She introduces herself to Desir and tells him that she is a second-year student and will be his tutor. As expected, Desir already knew her and says that she is a genius of fire magic. Clearly, all of this happens without the girl knowing that he already knows everyone there. After reviewing Desir's information, Redoria realizes that he is a commoner, so she mentions that no matter what powers he has, he will most likely be placed in the beta group. Desir explains that although many mages have great abilities, if they are commoners they are assigned to the beta group, unlike nobles who are placed in the alpha group. After this short explanation, both of them decide to enter in order to take the exam. Desir does not seem surprised when entering the building, and the girl notices this, so he simply tells her that he has been in this building before, or in one very similar to it. Just as they walk through a hallway, a boy named Elshe suddenly interrupts them. Desir remembers that the boy controls water magic and also does not get along well with Redoria. As expected, the two boys begin arguing with each other and start getting angry. Elshe suddenly calms down and asks about Desir. When he reads that he is a commoner, he starts laughing at him. Before leaving, he tells him to give up, because even if he passes the exam, he will still be assigned to the beta group. This makes the girl very angry, since she believes Desir will easily prove him wrong. After saying those words, Elshe leaves the place. Through a megaphone, they hear that it is time to begin the exam, and Redoria, still furious, tells him that he must pass the exam because she will not allow that arrogant guy to mock them. While they walk toward the waiting room, Desir thinks that everything he sees there feels perfectly familiar. When he arrives, he wonders if the girl he loved, the one who died, is there. At that moment, the girl known as Romantica appears. Seeing her, Desir becomes motivated and thinks that if he truly returned to the past, he will not allow the tragedies to happen again. At that moment, he decides that he will rewrite the history of the world. He cannot stop looking at the girl, which makes her a little uncomfortable. Then he calls her by name even though she never told him. The girl asks if they knew each other before or something like that. This makes him very nervous, and he points out that it seems both of them ended up in the same group for the exam. After hearing that, the girl wishes him good luck. Desir realizes that she does not know him at this point, but he knows he must do something so he does not lose her again. After that, Redoria explains that the test consists of a race toward the Haremste Plains inside the Shadow World training area for beginners. She says that even though it is part of the Shadow World, it is very safe because it is protected by the Academy. Just then, Elshe arrives and says it is impossible for Desir to pass, since inside that area, students can attack each other. He also introduces the girl under his command, and it turns out to be Azest, a magical knight. Desir remembers that she is a high-rank ice knight who uses vision magic that cannot be interfered with. She also masters the sword and was clearly one of his most loyal companions. Elshe then starts mocking Redoria, which makes her lose her temper. Finally, Redoria gives Desir some encouraging words, and the first group to take the exam turns out to be his group. They pass through the portal and are teleported to the plains. There they hear the rules. Only the first 3 people to reach the finish line will pass the exam. They are also allowed to use magic to disturb and delay the other students. Desir wonders if Romantica also has her memories, but he quickly realizes she does not, since she simply calls him by name and says she saw it on the list. She also says that after seeing he is a commoner and noticing his low physical abilities, she clearly has no intention of attacking him. The race begins, and everyone starts running at great speed. Desir begins talking to Romantica, and she gets annoyed because it seems like he is trying to get her attention. Suddenly, Desir pushes her to the side after detecting an incoming attack from another boy. The attacker tries again, but Romantica blocks it with her ability, counterattacks, and defeats him. Meanwhile, Azest and the rest of the group continue running at great speed. Romantica thanks Desir and tells him that now they are even. Right after that, she says she will use an ability to move ahead. On the other hand, the Academy officials comment that everything is going according to plan with the groups. They also find it amusing that in the Magical Knights group there is also a commoner like Desir. Back with the group, Romantica's ability manages to reach Azest and the other 2 students. However, the Magical Knight cuts the wind with her sword and escapes the attack, unlike the other 2 students who are defeated. Romantica tells him that now only the 3 of them remain, so she will not let him pass either. She politely asks him to withdraw from the competition. Desir calmly replies that there is no reason for her to attack him right now, but she says she is being kind and only wants to make him understand because she does not want him to end up getting hurt. However, he refuses to withdraw and smiles at her, which makes the girl very angry. In frustration, she begins casting several wind spells, which greatly surprise him. Without thinking twice, she launches the attack and then calmly walks away, believing she clearly defeated him. But he calls out to her without having received even a single scratch. He also tells her that he did not know she could cast so many spells at the same time. The girl becomes very nervous and says that her attack must have missed by coincidence. She begins casting even stronger spells, believing she will not miss this time. However, when she launches the attacks, Desir cancels her spells since he possesses that ability. The girl is shocked because she knows that anyone capable of using reverse spell magic must possess an enormous amount of power. Seeing her attack neutralized by a commoner, Romantica cannot believe he has far more power than she does. She begins casting large numbers of spells, but all of them disappear because of his ability. Desir thinks that she is one of the best students in the academy this year. However, he knows that if she does not grow stronger, history might repeat itself, so he wants her to improve much more in order to protect herself. Using his reverse magic, he cancels all of her spells and then uses a bit of fire and wind magic to defeat her, knowing this will motivate her to become stronger. It is also revealed that he can use different types of magic. After that, he manages to catch up with Azest. She clearly senses his presence and realizes he is not as weak as she thought, so she summons many magical arrow spells. Desir uses his reverse magic and takes control of many of those arrows. Azest notices this, and with the few arrows she still has available, she launches an attack at him. The attack barely grazes him, and she is very surprised that he managed to dodge it. She then creates a new spell, thinking he will not have enough time to reverse her magic. However, he reverses it again, and after a small explosion used as a distraction, he quickly rushes past her while telling her that she should not become obsessed with defeating him. After saying that, Desir reaches the finish line in first place. The girl feels humiliated and begins thinking that the three of them must become much stronger to prevent the tragedies that are coming. In the next scene, the Academy Assembly is shown to be somewhat classist, since they insist that commoners must be placed in the beta group. However, the president gives Bridget the chance to speak. She points at Desir on the screen and says they should make an exception and place him in the alpha class. In a parallel scene, the students are watching the results on a screen. Desir is not pleased that he was placed in the beta class, and he notices that Romantica seems a little scared. A few hours later, we see her in class, and it is revealed that she was also placed in the beta class just like him. She feels completely disappointed because the beta class facilities are in poor condition. She looks at him and wonders why he is in the same class as her, since he defeated Azest after all. He notices that she is staring at him and smiles, which annoys her because she hates the way he smiles at her. At that moment, a memory of Desir is revealed when he spoke with Bridget. She apologized to him because even though she is part of the assembly, the nobles opposed her recommendation to place him in the alpha group. Back in the present, Desir realizes that there must be other people with exceptional talent just like him, so he decides that he must awaken each of them. A little later, Romantica is sitting somewhat sadly in the dining hall. At that moment, a boy named Donetta arrives, who remained in the alpha class. She tells him that she is looking for people who can assist her because she plans to join the Blue Moon group. She also explains that it is the best team in the academy and that it is made up of the top students from the alpha class. They came to recruit her because she has great ability and comes from the U family. However, in exchange, he asks her to go on a date with him. The girl becomes very nervous and tells him she cannot, since they literally just met, so it would be strange, but the boy, acting like a true Romeo, says that he fell in love with her at first sight. He also says he cannot believe that a noble like her is in the beta class, and finally tells her that she should think about it. The boy then gives her an object as proof of his honesty and love. After saying this, he leaves the place. At that moment, Desir suddenly appears behind her and scares her. He tells her that he came with the same proposal, inviting her to join a group he is forming. However, the girl proudly says that she would never choose a new group instead of joining the best team from the alpha class. He already expected that response, so he leaves her a note and tells her to throw it away after reading it. After that, Desir leaves, and when the girl reads the note, she becomes completely furious. Meanwhile, while walking through the hallways, he notices a boy named Pram. While watching him from some seats, he thinks that when he first met him, he was one of the best swordsmen in the world. Because of that, he knows that this time he could help him become much stronger. His thoughts are interrupted when Romantica arrives. Slightly upset, she tries to complain to him, but he tells her that the training is about to begin. At that moment, they see the boy pick up a very large sword, and Desir thinks he should not do that. Soon after, the fight between Pram and a student from the alpha class begins. After exchanging several blows, Pram briefly gains the advantage, which makes the other student nervous. However, as expected, the alpha class student eventually defeats him. Even after winning the fight, he begins beating Pram while he is completely unarmed. At that moment, Desir intervenes and blocks the boy's sword strike. The student becomes slightly afraid when he sees Desir's threatening gaze, so he chooses to leave, but not before saying that he will not forget Desir's face. A little later, the group is treating Desir's wound. Pram apologizes because Desir received the attack because of him, and now they also have an enemy from the alpha class. Desir tells him it is nothing serious, since he used magic to block the attack and it did not hurt much. Seeing how cute Pram looks, Romantica makes a completely love-struck expression, so hopefully Desir does something or they might steal his sweetheart. After formally introducing themselves to him, Pram becomes very nervous because of how handsome Desir clearly looks. A little later, before Desir and the girl say goodbye, Pram tells them that he is very grateful for what they did for him, and that they can count on him if they ever need anything. Desir accepts his words, and they say goodbye to the boy. After that, Desir asks Romantica what she wanted to talk about. They move to another place, and the girl, still angry, asks if anyone else knows what was written in the note. Desir tells her that only the professors know about it. He then explains that in the kingdom of Prelecha there was a special merchant who became very wealthy through his business, and eventually bought a noble title, even though he was originally a commoner. That title granted him the surname Eru, and it turns out that all of this is related to her family, since it happened when she was only 4 years old. So he finally tells her that even though her name carries a noble title, her blood actually comes from a commoner. That is the main reason why she was placed in the beta class. Even though she belongs to the nobility, the girl confirms that everything he said is true. He then takes the opportunity to tell her to reject Donata's offer because he clearly despises commoners. Once again, he invites her to join his group, warning that something very bad might happen otherwise. The girl becomes angry and says that his threats about telling everyone will not work on her. But Desir responds that manipulation is not his style, and if she rejects him, he will simply start the group with Pram. The girl imagines sweet moments with the boy and becomes even more annoyed. She also tells him that he is a very suspicious person because he knows things about her in a strange way. However, after thinking for a few seconds, she finally agrees to join his group. Still, she warns him that she will find out who he really is. With that, they reach an agreement. In the next scene, Pram has a dream where his mother gives him a sword. The sword suddenly begins to crumble, and at that moment the boy wakes up screaming. He then looks at the sword his mother gave him in the dream. The next day, the group goes to Bridget's office because Desir wants to request the creation of a team. After drinking tea and eating several sweets, the teacher asks him the reason why he wants to form that team. Desir confidently replies that he wants to form the team in order to win the tournament held by the Academy and be promoted to the Alpha class. Bridget warns him that this could be extremely complicated. He says that he already knows, and she begins explaining why changing classes is so difficult. It is a tournament where teams of 3 to 6 participants compete, with mixed members from both Alpha and Beta groups. By defeating their opponents and helping their team, they can raise their rank and qualify. If they manage to win their rounds, they will advance to fight against the winners of other teams, and the 9 best participants will receive individual titles that allow them to move from the Beta class to the Alpha class. After the long explanation, Bridget says that up to now, no team has ever managed to change classes. So in simple terms, she tells them that it is impossible for them to succeed. This makes Romantica very angry because she believes it is unfair due to the huge advantage the Alpha class has. However, Desir, full of motivation, says that this is a great opportunity to show everyone the talent of the Beta class. In this way, they could make the teachers realize that Beta students are also very talented. The teacher agrees and says that if they actually win, they could change the corrupt system of the school. Finally, she adds that to form a team, all of them must agree, so she asks if after hearing everything they still want to create it. A little later, the group stands beside a training room used by the Alpha class. Romantica is very amazed, but she becomes completely disappointed when they arrive at another place that is completely abandoned and learn that this will be their training area. Compared to the place they saw earlier, it is practically a dump. Their conversation is interrupted when they suddenly see hundreds of mice inside the place, leaving Pram and Romantica completely shocked. Desir stays calm, unlike the other two who are terrified of the rats. He tells them it is nothing serious and that they just need to clean the place. Meanwhile, the girl clings to him like a frightened child. Desir says that after cleaning it will become a nice place to train, but the girl clearly refuses, saying she would rather he find another place where they can become stronger. A little later, because Pram fainted from the fright, he wakes up on the stairs. When he enters the training room again, he is shocked to see that Desir and Romantica left the place completely clean, and now it looks like a brand new training hall. The boy apologizes to them for not being able to help, and it can be seen that Romantica is completely covered in dust. This makes her angry again, and Desir reminds them that they must win the tournament. At that moment, a memory appears showing when they all agreed to form the group in front of the teacher. Back in the present, Romantica says she should never have agreed to join this group, since everyone in the Alpha class is strong and they would have no chance of beating them. Even though she feels a little disappointed, she regains her motivation and says it is time to start training. Soon after, the group goes to the training room. Desir draws a circle on the wall and tells them to aim their abilities at it. The girl casts several spells that strike the circle. He tells them that they must hit the exact center, otherwise the Alpha class will defeat them. She thinks this is impossible, but Desir remembers that the future Romantica was able to do it because of her strong determination. He teases her by saying that if she cannot do it, she will keep cleaning the place until graduation. This makes her very angry and frustrated. After that, he gives her a ball and asks her to move it to a circle he drew on the floor. Since she would normally throw it with her hands, he tells her instead to concentrate and use her wind magic to make it float toward the circle. At first, she does not know how to do it, but after his explanation she manages to lift the ball into the air, which surprises him because she succeeded on the first try. The girl blushes after he congratulates her, and Desir tells her to keep practicing. He then turns to Pram and says that now it is his turn. Pram becomes excited and asks him to teach him everything he knows. However, Desir tells him that there is nothing he can teach him because he is already a master of the sword. This makes Pram feel sad, since he does not know that Desir already knows he will become the best swordsman in the world. Desir then asks why during the fight with the Alpha class student he used the large sword, because he knows that Pram usually fights with a much lighter sword, which clearly gives him much greater speed in battle. The boy feels a little helpless and admits that he is unfortunately right. At first he refuses to explain the reason, but Desir insists that he must say it because it could actually affect the team. Pram agrees to tell him, but says they need to go somewhere else first. As they walk through a hallway, it is revealed that Romantica stayed behind training happily with the new ability she learned. Pram tells Desir that he seems to trust her a lot, and he replies that he trusts him as well, which makes the boy extremely happy. Soon after, they arrive at Pram's room, and he shows him the sword he dreamed about the other day. Pram explains that he never knew his father, and his mother was a commoner. Even though he never met him, his father turned out to be a noble. In other words, Pram was born outside of marriage, and the sword was the only inheritance his father left him. Desir is surprised when he sees it because it is the same sword Pram used in the future. When he takes it, he notices that it is clearly very light. Pram also says that he learned about the sword when he was 6 years old. At that moment, a memory appears from when he was much younger. He used the sword to train and felt very attached to it. Excited, he believed that the next time he saw his father, he would make him proud. But one day his mother became ill, and she asked him to never try to look for his father, because their social status was completely different. Pram had no choice but to accept his mother's request. Back in the present, Desir thinks about how in this world it is considered a disgrace for a noble and a commoner to have a child. Now that Pram is older, he understands this and feels miserable about everything that happened. Desir believes that if the boy had tried to find his father at that time, he would have been killed. Pram then says that the real reason he entered the academy was to try to find his father. However, many nobles come from different countries, so finding him will be much harder than he imagined. With tears in his eyes, he also says that when he arrived in the city, he decided to have the sword evaluated to see if it had any value. But the person told him that the sword had no value at all and was not even worthy of a noble. Hearing this made him angry even with his own mother, since she never met his father again, and in frustration he throws the sword to the ground. After that, he says that he never wants to use that sword again. A few days later, the group is seen training, and Desir looks very thoughtful about Pram. At that moment, Romantica manages to move the ball toward the circle he told her about, but it lands outside of it. After hearing his words, she becomes completely disappointed. Suddenly, he moves very close to her, which makes her nervous. However, Desir remembers the object Donetta gave her earlier and goes to see Pram. He asks him to show the sword again because he wants to analyze something, but he is shocked to hear that Pram already sold it. A few hours later, Pram and Desir arrive at the market to try to recover the sword. Desir remembers the place well because in the past he liked visiting it. Pram tells him that the person who bought the sword is located in a very isolated alley. Just before entering the shop, Desir becomes disappointed after reading that the man does not perform any kind of evolutions, since he knows this could make it harder to recover Pram's sword. When they enter the place, Desir notices that the door is completely reinforced. After knocking, they are greeted by a very rough guard, along with the man who bought the sword. The man says he remembers Pram's face and unfortunately cannot return the sword. However, since he does not know Desir, he says that he can buy it if he wants. The man explains that even though the sword itself is not worth much, it contains an item that nobles usually give to their loved ones. Desir immediately remembers the object Donetta gave to Romantica. Pram becomes very surprised when he hears that it is actually a valuable item that nobles give to the people they care about. It is a hidden sword chest that contains something that only an expert can unlock. Finally, Desir asks for the price, and the man, clearly trying to cheat them, says it will cost 40 silver coins. This makes Pram angry because the man originally valued the sword at only 3 coins. However, Desir calms him down and says it is fine. Without hesitation, he pays the money. After taking the sword, Desir uses a type of vision magic and manages to see a hidden inscription inside it. After figuring out how to draw the blade, he gives instructions to Pram, and the boy successfully unsheathes a valuable sword made from a material called blanchio. This material is even harder than steel, and as light as a feather, making it a weapon of extremely high quality and purity for a swordsman like him. Just as they are about to leave, the guard blocks their path, because the merchant has suddenly changed his mind after realizing the true value of the item. He tells them that the only way they will be allowed to leave is if they leave the sword behind. Desir refuses, reminding him of his own words about no returns or refunds. This angers the merchant, who orders the guard to attack them. The guard swings his sword at Desir, but he easily dodges the attack with his quick reflexes. At that moment, Pram steps in front of him and says that he will handle the enemy. Even though he said earlier that he would never use that sword again, he now wants to use it to protect Desir. Suddenly, the boy begins to release a kind of aura and rushes toward the guard at great speed. The guard is forced to defend himself, and admits that Pram is so fast he can barely see his attacks. Just as Pram is about to land a strike on the guard's neck, the guard kicks him in the stomach. At that moment, Desir encourages him and tells him to trust in his father, because there must be a reason why he left him such a great treasure. These words motivate Pram, and he immediately continues the fight. The guard becomes overconfident, and after exchanging several blows, he believes he is about to strike Pram with his sword. However, Pram suddenly splits the guard's sword in half and then knocks him out with the hilt of his own sword, leaving him unconscious on the ground. After leaving the place, the two of them go to buy some skewers. Pram begins to cry with happiness because of the words Desir told him. For a long time he felt empty, but now he has Desir, who considers him a friend. He thanks his mother for guiding him to where he is now. In the next scene, Romantica is seen training. She manages to move the ball into the circle on the ground. She becomes very happy after casting several spells and successfully hitting the circle that Desir drew on the wall. A little later, she goes to the Alpha class area to talk with Donetta. They sit down to have dinner, and she returns the object he gave her earlier. She tells him that she will not join his group because she is now part of Desir's team. She also says that Desir is a very good leader and that she has been learning many abilities thanks to him. She then asks if he still stands by his words about hating commoners. After hearing his confirmation, she confesses that she used to be a commoner in the past. Donetta is shocked and tells her to stop joking about things like that. However, Romantica says she is serious and that her group would not react the way he just did. Donetta becomes very disappointed and says that he would not have wasted his time inviting her to join his team if he had known. Before leaving, Romantica tells him that her group plans to rise to the Alpha class, so now they are enemies. Without hesitation, Donetta replies that he will crush them all, but she cleverly tells him not to underestimate them before walking away and leaving him furious. At that moment, a memory of Donetta as a child is shown. In the memory, he sees his parents being killed by other people because some commoners hated nobles and set their house on fire. Several weeks later, the date of the qualification tournament finally arrives. Desir's group gradually defeats the different teams and students they face, including teams with both Alpha and Beta class members. They slowly climb the rankings of the tournament, which makes the group very happy. Desir also realizes that they are getting closer to the top positions, so they will have to become very serious. In another scene, Bridget is watching the battles from her office. She says that Desir has been fantastic, but now he must be careful because he has practically become everyone's target. In the next scene, the leader of the Alpha class and the Blue Moon group is shown looking extremely angry. He speaks with his students and says that they cannot allow a team like Desir's to rise to the Alpha class because it could cause chaos in the academy and even in the kingdom. As mentioned before, no group has ever managed to rise in class before. A student named Pugman gives words of encouragement and reminds them of the values of being Alpha students. He warns them that they must do whatever is necessary in the final round to eliminate Desir's group, since he is obsessed with maintaining the class difference within the academy. Pudman even asks Azest if she can defeat Desir, remembering that she was the first one to fight him. The girl calmly replies that she has a good chance, which immediately reassures him. Finally, the man warns her that she must return with a victory. At that moment, the girl thinks about what Desir did to her, since no one had ever humiliated her in that way before, and he was the first person to show her what true defeat felt like. Because of this, she decides that this time she will fight with all her strength. A little later, while walking through the hallways, she runs into Donetta and another boy named Percival. She asks them if they disagree with her being their leader, but Donetta, filled with anger, asks her to let him personally fight Romantica, while Percival wants to face Pram, since he was the one who defeated him during training. Even though she could have them fight together as a team, she eventually accepts their request. However, she warns them that their only order is not to touch Desir, because she intends to defeat him herself. In the next scene, Desir arrives where his teammates are training. They ask him what their next training will be, but they are surprised when he says that they should not train at all. Instead, they go to the library. After giving them a pile of history books, he explains that the final round will be based on a historical event. The academy will recreate a past incident, and the students must prevent it from happening. This excites Pram, who thinks Desir is a genius. However, Romantica disagrees with studying several historical events because the ones he chose seem completely random. After hearing her opinion, Desir agrees and says that maybe they should study all the books. But when he shows them the hundreds of books available, they both decide to stick only with the ones he originally gave them. While watching them study, Desir thinks that he already knows what the final test will be, because he actually experienced all of this before. After several hours, Pram keeps staring at him for some reason. Romantica notices this and begins teasing him, asking if they have been doing things together in private. The boy becomes extremely nervous, and it is not revealed whether he admires Desir or is actually attracted to him. The two begin whispering and arguing quietly, and the book they are holding falls on Desir's head. With a threatening smile, he tells them to continue reading. A little later, Azest arrives and approaches Desir, making the atmosphere tense. To break the ice, he says that it has been a long time since they last saw each other. He also tells her that it was a good decision for her to join Blue Moon, since it makes sense for her to be part of the strongest group in the academy. She replies with some doubt that there might be someone stronger than Blue Moon, clearly hinting at his talent. Finally, she says that she came to tell him something, but Desir, already knowing her personality, says that she must have come to declare war. Azest responds that he seems to know a lot about her. She admits that the last time she underestimated him, but this time she plans to go all out and will not lose to his group. Desir looks happy while thinking that it is good for her to use him as motivation to become stronger. As remembered, his main goal after returning several years to the past is to make all his former companions much stronger, so that many deaths and incidents in the future can be avoided. After remembering what he did to motivate her, she leaves, and Desir thinks that he is already looking forward to fighting alongside her again. Several days later, the final round of the tournament finally arrives. There are many portals and an enormous crowd of people. Desir tells his teammates that it is normal to see so many people because spectators come from everywhere due to the importance of the event. After a long conversation, Desir feels very happy because he sees that his teammates are not nervous at all. After giving them some words of motivation, they move toward the arena and are welcomed enthusiastically by the crowd. It is soon clear that each portal has a team of students who reach the final round. Some members of the Blue Moon group think Desir looks pathetic. However, one of them warns the others not to lower their guard, since if they underestimate him, they might end up like Azest did. Soon after, a voice begins explaining the rules. Each team must discover and prevent one of the historical incidents that will occur. However, they are not told which one it is, so they must figure it out on their own. The voice also explains that they can use magic and defensive attacks to eliminate their opponents. Finally, the voice adds that the 9 participants with the most points will receive the title of winners, which will allow them to advance to the Alpha class if they are not already in it. This is clearly the case for Desir. He tells his teammates that since they are currently in last place, they must solve things quickly or eliminate the remaining students. Soon after, the portals activate, and after observing them for a few seconds, the students enter immediately. They are teleported to different locations and appear scattered throughout a forest. Desir thinks that the first thing they must do is find their teammates. However, at that moment he detects an ice attack, and a girl suddenly appears in front of him. She confidently tells him that it is his unlucky day for running into her, because she plans to eliminate him right there. Without hesitation, the girl casts a spell that attacks him, but Desir blocks it using fire magic. He shows great interest in her abilities, noticing that she can use 2 spells at the same time. He even tells her that he expected nothing less from an alpha student. The girl then uses wind magic to create a tornado that gathers crystals floating in the air, causing small cuts to appear on Desir's body. Confident in herself, she tells him that a commoner like him will never master the kind of magic she is using. She then asks for his final words. Desir mocks her and says that she should aim for his chest instead. This makes her angry because she knows her weakness is poor accuracy. Desir then uses his reverse magic and neutralizes her attack. He tells her that she should never underestimate her opponent, since that is the most basic rule of combat. Immediately after that, he creates a massive ice crystal and launches it toward her. She tries to use a magic shield, but he divides his attack into several fragments that strike around her, eliminating her instantly. In another scene, an Alpha class student is walking through the forest when Romantica suddenly attacks and eliminates him. She is with Pram, since they appeared close to each other and quickly reunited. Together they are searching for Desir. Romantica uses her wind magic to detect people around them. She senses several individuals and launches a new attack to eliminate one of them. However, her attack suddenly disappears and 2 Alpha students appear in front of them. They begin mocking Pram and Romantica, calling them trash. The girl responds that she will show them who they really are. She warns them not to be overconfident just because they belong to the beta class. When one of them continues laughing, Pram rushes forward at incredible speed, barely giving the boy enough time to defend himself. Soon after, the 2 enemies prepare to fight again and launch a combined attack against Pram. However, he begins running around them at great speed, which frightens the female mage because of how fast he is. The other student tries to strike him with his sword but misses and tells his partner to finish off Romantica instead. However, Romantica detects them first and strikes the girl with her wind magic. She tells her that creating a distraction is useless if the magic reveals their position. This distracts the other student, allowing Pram to appear behind him and attack while Romantica prepares another spell. Together, they eliminate the enemy. Both of them congratulate each other, but suddenly Romantica becomes angry when she realizes that Desir has been watching them. Embarrassed, he steps out and apologizes for spying on them. He also congratulates them for fighting so well against the Alpha students. Romantica then remembers that the attack she launched earlier suddenly disappeared. At that moment, she realizes it was Desir who neutralized it, and she thinks that he has become much stronger. She feels a little upset that he canceled her spell so easily. Seeing her so quiet, Desir gently pats her on the head, which of course makes her furious. Soon after, he notices that a storm is approaching and realizes that something bad is about to happen. At the same time, a group of Alpha students is seen eliminating another participant, and a voice announces that only 18 people remain. Returning to Desir's group, he explains that the only ways to win are either to take control of the shadow domain or eliminate the remaining competitors. However, there are still many opponents left, and it is likely that the Alpha students will unite to defeat them. Because of this, he suggests that they focus on surviving until only 9 people remain, so they can qualify and obtain the title. They simply need to wait for the others to eliminate each other. Romantica becomes nervous, but Pram believes that they will make it through this situation safely. At that moment, it begins to rain, so they run under a tree. Romantica starts thinking that if she were alone, it would be impossible for her to place among the top 9 against so many Alpha students. She begins to wonder what would have happened if she had accepted Donet's proposal. Seeing that she is worried, Desir tries to calm her down, but she pretends to be angry to hide her concern. Despite everything, she secretly thinks that she really likes the group with Desir and Pram. Suddenly, all the students hear a bell. Desir tells them to remember the book about a tower called Previous, which contains a magical artifact that summons many monsters across the area. Soon after, a lightning strike shoots out from the tower and creates a huge crack, from which a monster appears. At that moment, everyone receives the mission to survive its attack. Meanwhile, Pudman is shown with the rest of the Academy Assembly, thinking that the time for Desir's group has come. Bridget looks very worried about him and his teammates because she knows very difficult things are about to happen. Back with Desir, he senses that the monster is approaching. Suddenly, a Kildra rat emerges from the ground and begins summoning many more. The group has no choice but to run away. Desir explains that the creature uses a massive army of rats as its limbs and that it feeds on human blood. He also says that once it chooses a target, nothing will stop it until it completes its objective. Romantica tries using her wind magic, but it has no effect. After jumping over a tree, she continues running at full speed. Desir quickly forms a plan. After biting his finger, he throws a bit of his blood to identify the small demon. This gives Romantica an opening to attack, but she is not strong enough to defeat it in one blow. Suddenly, Pram jumps directly into the horde of monsters, making Desir immediately regret his decision. Meanwhile, one member of the Blue Moon team is eliminated by the rats' attacks, forcing the group to start fighting the swarm. Back with Desir, he desperately tries to rescue Pram, who is trapped inside the whirlwind of monsters while searching for their leader. Suddenly, a small explosion occurs, and the leader of the rats is launched into the air and eliminated by a strike from Pram. At that moment, the survival mission is completed. Pram collapses from exhaustion and falls asleep, so Desir carries him in his arms and places him under a tree. They begin talking about how strong and impressive he is. Desir then asks Romantica to take care of him because he needs a moment alone to think. Afterward, Desir begins hurting himself, blaming his own decisions. He cannot allow his teammates to be placed in danger like that again. He realizes that he became too confident because of their progress and did not expect such a situation to repeat. His main goal is to prevent the deaths that happened in the past and make his companions stronger. At that moment, he notices the tower, so he returns to his group and tells them that they must head toward it. In another scene, Azest's group is shown arriving at the previous tower first. They believe they will win the tournament if they manage to stop the magical clock inside. However, they suddenly sense an enemy presence and begin receiving attacks from the sky. They try to block the strikes, but several of them are eliminated. Azest quickly realizes that an attack of that scale could only come from someone like Desir. She is correct, as the scene shows him already inside the tower, thinking that fewer opponents remain. Soon after, Desir's group continues attacking, forcing the others to defend themselves. After receiving a barrage of attacks, they manage to block them using their magic shields. Desir tells his teammates that this is expected because Azest is part of that group. Knowing that defeating them directly will not be easy, he tells Romantica that they should eliminate the other competitors who are beginning to arrive. She hesitates, but he asks her to trust him. She launches 2 attacks and eliminates both targets, leaving only 13 participants remaining. Next, Desir uses a control ability over the tower. At the same time, the Blue Moon group enters the tower but is surprised to find other teams inside. They explain that they were also attacked from outside. However, the other groups begin accusing Azest's team, believing that their attacks were a sneaky attempt to eliminate everyone. Azest asks them if they have any proof that her group was responsible. But one of the students replies that only they are capable of casting spells of such a high level. At that moment, Azest realizes that no one would believe them if they said the real attackers were from the beta class. She understands that Desir's real objective is to make all the teams fight each other. Just then, one of the students begins charging a powerful fire ability, and Azest tells her team not to interfere because she intends to handle the situation herself. Soon after, the fire mage launches his attack at Azest. However, she suddenly appears behind several of them and neutralizes them in just a few seconds. The frightened student asks another nearby group for help, and they immediately start attacking Azest. Despite that, she blocks every attack and begins overwhelming the group. Meanwhile, Desir's team waits for them to climb up to their level. After a few seconds, the others arrive where Desir and his teammates are standing. He comments that it is a shame they did not finish off the groups they were fighting, since that partially ruins his plan. Because Azest was much more clever and simply chose to neutralize her opponents, the atmosphere becomes tense and everyone prepares to fight the person standing in front of them. Azest then says that if they truly believe they deserve to win, they must prove it right there. Right after that, she uses an ice ability on both herself and Desir to move up to the next floor, so they can fight alone. At the same time, Percival rushes toward Pram because he wants revenge for their previous fight. Donetta also stops Romantica and tells her that now no one will interrupt their battle. He even says that she has made it much farther than he expected. Back with Desir, he is lying on the ground while Azest tells him to stop pretending since she knows the kind of attacks that would not harm him. Suddenly, he casts a spell that throws a rock which transforms into a serpent. However, she stops it in time with her ice magic. Immediately after that, Desir uses his reverse magic and takes control of the entire room. Meanwhile, Percival starts mocking Pram about their previous fight. This motivates Pram, who begins dodging all of his attacks with great speed. Percival grows increasingly desperate because Pram seems like a completely different person. Soon after, Pram lands a blow to Percival's stomach. Shocked, Percival asks how he became so strong in such a short time. Pram simply mocks him with funny gestures and says it does not matter how he did it, which only makes Percival even angrier. At the same time, Romantica is launching several spells at Donetta, but he easily blocks them. Suddenly, a crystal beside him breaks and creates a cloud that reveals his position. This works perfectly for Romantica, who uses detection magic to fire spells toward his exact location. Donetta is shocked because he cannot understand how she knows precisely where he is. After a few moments, however, he realizes her strategy and uses a magical artifact to clear all the fog from the area, exposing her. He then rushes toward her and begins striking with his weapon, but she manages to dodge in time. She notices the artifact and tells him that even though he despises commoners like her, in the end they are the same because they are both human, and the only difference between them is their title. As expected, Donetta refuses to listen and insists that alpha students are far superior to them. Using a ring artifact, he traps her inside a circle of fire and then blasts her toward the wall with an explosion. Pram arrives and sees what happened, but Donetta's hatred is clearly visible as he declares that he intends to kill both of them. Pram tries to defend Romantica, but Donetta traps him with earth magic. He then rushes toward Romantica to finish her with a strike. At that moment, Pram breaks free from the stone trap and slashes Donetta's amulet away while cutting his face with his sword. Even after that, Donetta remains furious and tells his companion that both of them are now his prey. Romantica does not know what to do because she believes she would only be a burden to Pram. She asks him to take Percival somewhere else because Donetta clearly wants to fight her. Despite her request, Pram refuses, and his expression shows that he does not want to abandon her. Pram then remembers the words Desir once told them, that none of the three should ever abandon their teammates, and that they have all become much stronger now. Those words motivate Romantica again, and she declares that it is time to defeat their enemies. Back with Desir, Azest tells him that this time she will not allow him to defeat her the way he did during the Qualification tournament. Without hesitation, she launches a powerful ice spell, but he neutralizes it with his ability. She tries to move around the battlefield, but he stops her again. She is amazed that all of her abilities can be reversed by him, so she attacks once more. Desir counters by combining an ice spell with fire magic, trapping her inside a cocoon of ice. Even so, she emerges completely unharmed, showing how powerful she truly is. Seeing this, Desir calmly praises her for her incredible resilience. Next, Azest cannot understand how Desir, despite having lower statistics than her, is able to neutralize every one of her attacks. When he tells her that they should keep enjoying the fight, she thinks that he still lacks combat experience. Without hesitation, she charges straight at him. However, Desir says he already knew she would make that move, and she begins receiving several powerful strikes from him. Even so, she manages to dodge each one and then rushes toward him. As expected, she is shocked when he also blocks her close combat attack. Even though Desir receives a little damage from her, she still cannot believe that he is stronger than she is. She then directly asks why she cannot defeat him. Desir cheerfully replies that he finds all of this very fun and asks if she has never faced a worthy opponent before. He even mentions a memory from before he was sent back to the past, when she used to think every opponent was extremely easy to defeat. That is why he is enjoying seeing her act differently now. She responds that no matter how strong he is, she will not lose to him. At that moment, she uses vision magic and creates an enormous temple of ice that covers the entire area, leaving Desir impressed. He realizes that he cannot use his reverse magic on it. The girl immediately begins attacking him with crystals forming around her. Dozens of spells aim directly at Desir and begin firing at him, but he manages to cancel the magic of each one. This makes her slightly angry. Desir thinks that he was already used to this kind of magic from her in the past, although he is surprised that she can already use it at this moment. Azest realizes that she cannot defeat him with her sword, and using magic would likely be useless, since he would neutralize it. Because of that, she cancels the Ice Temple spell and prepares to fight again with her sword. Meanwhile, Donetta and Pram exchange several blows, and Pram manages to land a kick. This forces Donetta to ask his partner for help, because he does not want to waste more time. Even though Percival initially refuses since Donata told him not to interfere, he eventually agrees. Without hesitation, Percival rushes toward Pram and throws his sword as a distraction. Right behind him comes Donata, leaving Pram surrounded. At that moment, Romantica remembers the strength Desir inspired in her and launches 2 powerful wind spells at them. Back with Desir, Azest begins turning her sword into a magical weapon. He explains that this is an ability used by magical knights and that mastering such a powerful skill normally takes 10 years of training. Even so, she is using it without any difficulty. She charges at him, blocking every attack he throws. Soon after, she manages to break through one of his dagger strikes and injure his neck. At least that is what she believes. Desir suddenly smiles and neutralizes her attack. Then he reveals that he already has control over the entire tower. At that moment, he disables the tower's magic, successfully completing the mission of stopping the historical incident. Because of that, the tournament immediately comes to an end. The people watching the screen are amazed to learn that Desir is the true winner. Pugman, on the other hand, becomes furious after seeing a beta student win the tournament. Throwing his staff to the ground, he angrily thinks that he will never accept this result. A little later, the members of the Academy Assembly gather to discuss the situation. Pugman begins suggesting that Bridget secretly gave Desir an illegal artifact because he refuses to believe that Desir defeated a magical knight fairly. He even claims that she must have leaked the information about the event to him. However, another teacher present tells him that he has no proof of this. Everyone witnessed the fight and saw how Desir defeated Azest fairly. Tired of their arguments, the director orders them to bring the list of winners he had already prepared. One of them begins reading the list, but the names are not revealed yet. Several hours later, Desir is explaining the plan he carried out. Since Azest managed to figure it out, he praises her for her intelligence. She says she still does not understand how he managed to control the shadow domain. Desir replies that his group arrived at the tower first, and after analyzing it, he cast a spell on it. However, because the Blue Moon group arrived so quickly, he admits that he was not fighting her seriously, since while they were fighting, he continued casting the spell to deactivate the tower. Suddenly, Azest smiles and says that ever since she met him, she has fallen into all of his traps. By saying this, she accepts that she was defeated because of his great abilities. Their conversation is interrupted when Pram and Romantica arrive. They immediately become defensive when they see Azest talking with him. Desir begins praising his teammates and gently pats their heads, leaving them very happy. Seeing this makes Azest smile as well, but she soon stands up because she has to leave since Pugman is calling her after her defeat. Just before leaving, she asks Desir for one last favor. She asks if she can join the training group he has formed. Even though Romantica objects, Desir accepts and tells her that he will wait for her so they can train together. Azest happily leaves after hearing this. A little later, the group meets with Bridget. Before revealing the results, she magically summons a delicious cake from a very famous shop, leaving Pram and Romantica completely fascinated. Suddenly, Bridget makes a terrible joke by telling them that they failed the tournament. They panic for a few seconds, but she quickly congratulates them and announces that all of them have been promoted to the Alpha class. After hearing this, the group celebrates while enjoying the delicious cake. However, Bridget remembers when Desir was still a child and came to her asking to learn magic. She spent a long time teaching him, and now she feels proud of the person he has become. The next day, the group decides to take the day off because they will soon begin attending Alpha class, which they know will not be easy. Desir gives everyone a free day, and the two become very excited. Soon, they are seen visiting something like a shopping center. The first place they enter is a clothing store. Romantica tries on several outfits and looks very beautiful. Desir, who is not very romantic, simply tells her that she looks good. She complains that he is terrible at boosting someone's confidence. After saying that, she changes into another outfit, and this time Desir reacts very differently, which makes her happy. At least at first. However, it turns out that his compliment was actually meant for Pram, which immediately makes Romantica angry. Next, Pram begins choosing a new tie for Desir, although he clearly does not look very happy about it. He even tries signaling Romantica to help him, but she completely refuses. Once Pram becomes determined, no one can stop him. After nearly an hour of deciding which tie looks best, they finally leave the store and Pram feels very satisfied for helping him. Soon they notice another store that catches both Pram and Romantica's attention, and they run toward it. At that moment, Desir runs into Azest again. She tells him that sometimes it is good to have a different routine, which is why she came there. Desir invites her to join them, and she accepts, joking that it would be a good opportunity to take revenge for the tournament. Nervously, Desir tells her that he wants none of that because he is only there to relax. She then says she was only joking, and Desir realizes that it is impossible to know when she is actually joking because she always looks so serious. Meanwhile, Pram is focused on trying to win a stuffed toy from a claw machine. When he finally succeeds, both he and Romantica are very happy. However, their joy is interrupted when Desir arrives with Azest. They immediately become irritated and act like angry cats. Azest then grabs Pram and switches positions with him, which suddenly changes his perspective about her. Soon after, they notice an air hockey table and decide to play. Desir and Romantica form one team, and he warns her that they must be careful because they are facing the best swordsman and a magical knight. Wanting to win so he can play alongside Desir, Pram becomes extremely motivated and begins radiating an intense aura of determination. The game quickly becomes intense as they block the puck at incredible speeds. Then, in a sudden move, Romantica lands a perfect shot that scores a point for their team. As Romantica releases her wind magic, she tells them that their biggest mistake was challenging her. Azest quickly realizes that the match will involve magic as well. After launching the puck, she uses her ice magic and manages to score a point. This makes the girls extremely competitive, and Desir remembers that this is exactly how they used to be when they were a team. After several hours of playing, Azest finally says goodbye to the group and thanks them for inviting her. Once she leaves, Romantica becomes very happy because she thinks they will not see her again. However, Desir reminds her that they will see her in the Alpha class, and that she will also be training with them. They are completely amazed by the facilities compared to those of the Beta class. Soon after, Desir tells them that it is time for training. They head to the training area, where Azest also arrives. Over the next few hours, the group trains together. Romantica does not seem very happy about Azest being there, but she still demonstrates her progress by moving several balls into the circle on the ground, using her magic. After a few hours, Azest realizes that Desir adapts each person's abilities and strengths to help them train effectively. She then says goodbye and mentions that they will see each other again later. Meanwhile, Romantica is lying on the ground, exhausted from the training. Desir reminds her that their next battle will be serious and that they could even die. Hearing this motivates her to continue becoming stronger. Later, the group attends class, where their teacher explains that every year they must fight against the Shadow Domain. Despite that, they win about 99% of those battles. This is all thanks to a mana crystal known as Altea, which appears whenever the Shadow Domain is defeated. However, even though it contains enormous amounts of mana, it cannot simply be used freely. 50 years ago, an artifact was created that allows people to extract its power. Because of this, many magical tools that help people in everyday life exist today. The teacher then asks the class who created that artifact. The students end up choosing Romantica to answer, even though she is still exhausted from training. Seeing that she is nervous, Desir quietly whispers the answer and tells her that it was Sod Exarian, the master of the magic tower. When she repeats the answer, the teacher confirms that it is correct. At that moment, the bell rings and the teacher announces that class is over for the day. Desir and his group then approach Professor Prelude and ask her for a favor. They move to another room to talk, and the woman initially thinks that the students need help with their studies. However, she explains that although all Academy students have the right to request assistance from the Magic Tower, the time to apply for that help has already passed. Desir responds that this is not related to that. He shows her a letter requesting that his group be assigned to protect the Magic Tower of Everelli. Despite his request, she says she cannot approve it because there is no reason to believe that the tower needs protection. Desir then reveals that the Tear of Regimel, a powerful magical stone, is stored inside that tower. Hearing this shocks the teacher, since Desir should not have access to such confidential Academy information. Prelude asks him how he knows this. Desir calmly replies that within 10 hours a group will attempt to steal it, and he tells her that the people responsible will be a group known as Odors. The woman is shocked because she knows that this group specializes in stealing magical stones. She also wonders how someone from the Beta class could know such detailed information. Finally, Desir tells her that he does not have time to explain everything, but they have very limited time left to protect the stone. He insists once again that she is the only person who can authorize them to guard the tier. 10 hours later, Sot is seen waiting when one of his allies arrives at full speed, saying that they are under attack. This makes Sot look at Desir's profile photo and wonder who he really is, because it is not normal for someone to know all that information. In the next scene, Desir is disguised as a poor farmer, running quickly with a bag of bread in his hands. He bumps into a mysterious man who uses a magical ability to stop him and catch the bag. The man helps him stand up and tells him that he should be careful walking through the streets at night, because there could be dangerous people like him. He then throws the bread on the ground and begins stepping on it. Desir pretends to be shocked and says that the bread was meant for his family. The man then leaves the place, and an invisible being appears beside him, asking if he wants him to eliminate the boy. However, he refuses. They both look toward the magic tower located high in the mountains. Meanwhile, Desir smiles with satisfaction, because it seems the man has fallen into his trap. Later, the man arrives at the tower. After removing his hat, he puts on a mask and suddenly an army begins to appear. They start casting spells and attacking the place. As expected, a protective barrier destroys every attack. It turns out that this is the assault Desir had predicted. The masked man is revealed to be named Kicken. He says it was expected that a strong defense would welcome them. Soon dozens of warriors approach and begin attacking the tower. Kicken believes that the defenders cannot handle two types of magic at the same time. After a long assault, they finally manage to break the barrier and infiltrate the tower. Inside, they are immediately confronted by the tower's knights, who start attacking the intruders. The attackers defend themselves using magical shields, while Kicken and several soldiers sneak inside using an invisibility ability. As they move through the building, Kicken realizes that the knights are already aware of their attack. They eventually reach the door where the magical stone is kept. Several soldiers attempt to break the barrier protecting it, but fail. Kicken personally steps forward and destroys the barrier with a powerful spell. He is amazed when he finally sees the high-rank magical stone known as the Tear of Regimel. Just before he takes the stone, Pram suddenly appears and warns him to stop. Kicken ignores him and grabs the stone, asking how they knew about their plan. Since Pram refuses to answer, the intruders attack him. However, Pram proves far more skilled and manages to dodge and block all their attacks. He counterattacks and defeats one of them, but Kicken quickly uses magical ropes to trap him and strikes him with an earth ability. Kicken praises Pram for his impressive speed and ability, but says he still lacks combat experience. He then summons magical chains that begin chasing him and traps him by creating walls around him. Several soldiers launch spells at Pram, but Romantica blocks them with her wind magic. Romantica begins attacking from above, knocking down several enemies. Kicken notices that even though her magic is not strong enough to pierce their armor, it is extremely precise. She also casts many spells at once, making it seem as if several mages are attacking them. This makes Kicken nervous because he did not expect to be ambushed like this. However, he reminds himself that his main objective is to steal the tear. Suddenly, Kicken tells his allies to cover him while he begins generating a powerful aura around himself. Pram immediately rushes forward to stop him, but one of Kicken's subordinates blocks him. At the same time, Kicken starts throwing debris using his magic and even collapses the ground, killing one of his own allies in the process. After dodging the attack, Pram asks how he can attack his own soldiers. Kicken coldly replies that all of his subordinates are completely replaceable. This enrages Pram, who charges toward him again. However, Kicken blocks him with a rock and counterattacks, striking him directly. Kicken then gathers many stones around his body, forming a kind of armored shell. Pram tries to break through the armor but cannot. Kicken mocks him and tells him to try a different attack since he keeps using the same move. At the same time, he manages to locate Romantica's position and discovers the pillar where she is hiding. She is forced to reveal herself. Kicken asks who sent them to stop him, since not just anyone would know about his invasion. When the two refuse to answer, he attacks them again. Pram quickly moves to defend Romantica in time. Seeing how troublesome he is, Romantica uses her wind magic to throw several rocks at him, but he blocks them easily. Immediately afterward, he activates an ability called Earth Rage, creating a massive explosion throughout the area. When the dust settles and he no longer sees the two students, Kicken escapes through the enormous crater he created in the ground. Later, the two boys are shown to be safe, and they say that they were defeated by the man. Because of this, both of them become motivated and think that they should keep training to become much stronger. Pram also wonders if Desir sent them there so they could gain this motivation after the fight. In another scene, Kicken is walking through an underground tunnel. He thinks that even though Desir knew all his movements, he still won because he managed to steal the magic stone. However, at that moment he is interrupted when Desir appears in front of him. Desir jokingly tells him that he must pay for the bread he stepped on earlier. Kicken asks how he knew he was there. Desir immediately activates one of his spells and explains that when Kicken helped him stand up earlier, he secretly left a trace of magic on his hand. Kicken begins laughing like a madman after hearing this, thinking that Desir is a genius for someone so young. He then says he will not forgive him for interfering with his plans and begins charging a powerful spell against him. But before the attack hits, Desir neutralizes it using his inversion magic. Kicken is left speechless, and Desir tells him that he should return what he just stole. In response, Kicken launches several attacks against him, but all of them are blocked by Desir's inversion magic. After realizing how powerful Desir's magic is, he summons dozens of giant rock spells to attack him, but they are also easily neutralized. Desir slowly walks toward him, and Kicken threatens to destroy the tier. However, Desir angrily tells him that he can do whatever he wants and immediately rushes forward to punch him. Kicken tries to strike back, but Desir uses a gravity spell that forces him to the ground. Kicken is shocked because not everyone in this world has a skill of such high rank. At the same time, Desir retrieves the tier using the mana from the stone itself. Kicken becomes even more surprised because the only way to extract mana from the tier is with a special artifact, but Desir is doing it using his own abilities. Desir then presses Kicken against the ground with his gravity magic, but suddenly Kicken activates his masks. His body begins to evolve, and Desir says that he now looks like some kind of magical beast. Kicken angrily confirms it and begins hitting him with several powerful blows. Desir manages to dodge many of the attacks and tries to finish him with a fire spell. However, the attack does no damage. Kicken then uses his earth magic to strike Desir and says that no spell of that level could affect him. After that, he begins casting many spells, and before Desir can neutralize them, they rush toward him to attack. Desir barely manages to escape. This makes Kicken angry, so he begins summoning a giant magical hammer. Desir tries to invert the spell, but Kicken finishes it in time and tells him that his time to die has come. Kicken attacks with all his power, and Desir creates multiple shields to defend himself. A massive explosion occurs when Kicken releases his full power. When the attack ends, Kicken begins laughing because he thinks Desir has been defeated. But suddenly his hammer starts breaking apart and Desir appears in front of him, as if nothing happened. Confidently, Desir explains that he realized his magic was unusual, so he took the time to analyze it and find a way to invert it. Right after that, Desir begins using his inversion magic on the transformation that Kicken used. This causes him to receive heavy damage, and the man tries to rush toward Desir, but Desir uses the mana from the tier to create a powerful energy sphere, which he throws and hits Kicken. The armor he gained shatters completely into pieces. With his last words, the man asks who Desir really is, because he has never met anyone in this world with so many high-rank powers. At that moment, Desir begins to reflect on who he really is. However, his thoughts are interrupted when his friends arrive. They hug him happily after seeing that he is safe. A few hours later, Desir is seen with Prelude at the headquarters of the Magic Tower. They go to meet Zod, because as a reward for protecting the magic stone, Desir asked to play Jedris with him. When they reach the door, the girl tells him that she will wait outside. Zod then welcomes him, and Desir remembers him as one of his most loyal companions. He also knows that in the future, he will become the most powerful mage in the world. Desir tells him that he feels a little nervous about meeting him. They begin preparing for the game, and Desir thanks him for taking the time to meet with him. He says he would like to play the Herbal mode, which is a very unusual game mode, surprising Zod. To avoid suspicion, Desir says that an old friend taught it to him, without knowing that it was actually Zod himself in Desir's future. After playing for a while, Desir suggests that they should bet something so the winner can receive a reward. Zod, somewhat pessimistic, says there is nothing a student like him could offer. In response, Desir points to some magic stones that Zod has not been able to process until now. Desir borrows one and infuses it with a bit of his holy magic, successfully activating the magic stone. Zod becomes completely fascinated and asks how he did it. Desir replies that they should bet the answer, which clearly pleases him. In another scene, Azest is standing on the balcony of a mansion where the Blue Moon group appears to be celebrating a party. Pugman arrives and tells her that they should go motivate the others, because rumors about them have been spreading since her defeat. However, Azest replies that she does not care what people think, because she does not like lying and she lost fairly. Pugman tells her that everything was her fault, and without hesitation he declares that she is no longer part of the Blue Moon group. With a smile on her face, she thinks that Desir's group will surely accept her. She throws away the brooch that identified her as a member of Blue Moon and leaves the place. In another scene, Desir's group is gathered talking about what happened with Kicken. Pram directly asks Desir why he is so determined to make them become powerful people. Desir honestly tells them that in 13 days a shadow world will appear, and they will be sent there to deal with it. It will not be like the simulations in the academy. If they fail, the world could be in danger and everyone could die. Remembering what the dragon did, Desir says he will not allow something like that to happen again. Romantica says she believes what he is saying because he has not been wrong about the magic tower until now. However, she asks him to be honest and tell them who he really is, because he is powerful and knows many things. After thinking for a few seconds, Desir believes he should tell them the truth. But just when he is about to speak, Romantica stops him and says that she wants to discover the secret herself. She reminds him that she once said she would uncover his hidden secret. This makes Desir feel relieved because he does not have to explain anything since they trust him. Finally, he tells them that just like them, he must also become much stronger. In the following days, the group trains intensely. One day, while Desir is with Azest, she slips on a leaf and falls into a very awkward position with him. This creates a tense moment between them, and the girl simply tells him that she is counting on him.